What if the secret to sustainable success isn't speeding up, but slowing down? In today's episode, I'm sharing how I've been rethinking business through the lens of slow living and why this gentle, grounded approach might be the most powerful way forward. Welcome to Imprint, a podcast about creating a home and life you love. I'm Natalie Walton, an interior designer, stylist, and best-selling author focused on an holistic approach to homes. Each week, I'm sharing insights and interviews about the creative process to help you enhance both your interiors and well-being, as well as provide you with the tools and resources to make considered and sustainable choices with all that you create. Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Walton. Welcome to Imprint. I am very excited to have you here today. As I record, it is actually my birthday. It is my 49th birthday. And I think that, we still have got some way to go before it is celebrated. Age, there is all of these things that so much attention and supplements and focus and gym workouts and all of these things about how can we live longer. And yet there still feels like there's a little bit of stigma about aging, especially as women. So I want to call it out. I want to celebrate my age. And if I was to look back on my life and think about what 18-year-old Natalie would think about where I am on my journey right now, I know that she would be completely blown away by what I have achieved, because I don't see it that way. I actually shared an Instagram post a little while ago, and somebody said in a comment something like, how do you feel about all the success that you've achieved? And I said, I don't feel like that at all. Like, I don't see it. I'm always looking forward. And I have to really encourage myself to pause and reflect. And I think we've all been on our own journey. And I encourage you to think about, what would 18-year-old you think about where you are right now on your journey? I know for me, if I was to look and say, you're going to be living by the time you're 49 in a beautiful house in the hills above Byron Bay, you're going to be married to the same man that you met when you were 22 years old. You are going to have 4 children who are all such beautiful and unique people, and they're so much fun to be around, that you are going to have published 4 books that have been bestsellers, that you are going to be teaching people around the world how to style their spaces. You are going to be coaching people in different design businesses and creative businesses all around the world in a program, that you are going to be working with interior design clients. I mean, I would just be completely blown away. Now, this is not to say, of course, that, everything is positive, and of course there are challenges, and I could equally give you a list of all the things that where my brain normally goes to, of all the things that I need to improve and get better, and, all the challenges that come with all of those achievements, because life really is 50-50. It always has things that are going well and things that need to be worked on, or we need to improve, or we need to address. And so, I'm very conscious of that, and my head tends to live more in that space. So I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on all the positive things. So just as today is my birthday, being May 7, this month also, when this episode goes live, will mark 5 years since the publication of my second book, Still the Slow Home. And it feels fitting because I've been reflecting on one of its core ideas, but this time in relation to business. And so I wanted to share a quote from the book, because I start the book with these words and I wanted to read them to you. There's just a few quick sentences. If you haven't yet got a copy, and I highly encourage you to do so, I've had so many people say that this is actually their favorite book of mine, or maybe you haven't read the book in a while. Maybe you even want to go and grab a copy and read along. So this is what I start the book with. When were you last still, without movement and motion, and free from thoughts tumbling and rumbling ahead, but still in the silent depths of quiet calm, holding a space for now? I wrote still as a response to our lives being too much, having too much, doing too much. And it was largely about consuming less, because consumerism had gone kind of rampant, and it was just our lives were so busy, and it really felt that our homes were an opportunity for us to be more intentional about how we lived our lives, and that we could start making improvements in our homes in terms of how much we consumed, both, physically and also just, mentally, and what we chose to create with our lives as well. And I actually had a little epiphany the other day, because many of us, myself included, are simply consuming too much in relation to business as well. And it's partly because it's never been easier to start a business. Anyone with a laptop and Wi-Fi connection can launch an online store or a service, and that's a beautiful thing. That's great. And that is what I've built my business on the back of. It's enabled me to be a working mum and be able to have breakfast with my children and, work during the day. And then when they come home, spend time with them and, do things that I don't have to commute for an hour each way to work in an office. And it's given me incredible flexibility. And I'm so grateful for that. And I think many of you are in a similar situation. But it can also lead us down a path that's increasingly complex. What started out as a simple idea to build a business around what we love, our passion and our gift to the world, has in many ways never been more complex. It's become layered with tools and subscriptions, systems, and maybe for you, staff and stress. There can be so much stress related to business as well. And for what? At times it can feel like we're working around the clock just to pay for the platforms that promise to make business easier. It's like email. When email first came out, they said, we're going to save so much time because, we're going to be able to communicate with each other so much easier. But in the end, email ended up creating more complexity. We never then switched off from our email and our inbox. I think now with many of us, and I know certainly I've got very strong boundaries around email, but there are other areas of our life that is now seeping into, such as social media. And there's a hidden cost in complexity too, in maintaining it, in implementing it, in managing it. So this episode is really my exploration, both for myself and hopefully for you too, of what it might look like to run a slow business, one that's truly in alignment with your values, one that enables us to pursue our passion and make a living. And so in the book, Still the Slow Home, I developed a framework of 10 simple steps for slow living. And I've come to realize that these same principles can guide how we run our businesses too. So if you're craving simplicity, more impact, and a more aligned rhythm in your business, I really believe you're going to find a lot of valuable information in today's episode. And if you're ready to bring more intention to your business, I've also got a few spots available this month for my one-to-one mentorship program, which is a 6-week intensive designed to help you align your business with what truly matters to you and build a business that not only looks good on the papers, but feels good as well. So if that is of interest to you, you can apply now at nataliewalton.com/mentor, and I will put a link in the show notes. Okay, so let's get into 10 simple steps to grow your slow business. The first step is to create a vision and consider what type of business you want to build. Make it aligned to who you are and how you want to live. In the book Still, I write, we can only create the life we can see. And this applies to business too. So just like with your home, the first step is clarity. What does your ideal business actually look and feel like? Think beyond revenue goals. How do you want to work? Who do you want to work with? And how do you want your days to unfold? Take the time to define what you want your business to look and feel like so that you can really create this business that feels good, that is actually, a business on your terms, and you're not just copying what other people are doing out there. And really stay connected with this idea every day if you can, so that you don't end up creating, a business that's based on some guru that's doesn't have the same values as you, or is hustling behind the doors in a way that you don't want to. So when you hear a lot of these people who are spruiking like, I've created a multi-million-dollar business, a lot of them, if you listen to them long enough, a lot of them 6 months later or a year later say, oh, I completely burnt myself out growing my business. And so on the one hand, they're sort of talking about these multi-million-dollar businesses and and on the other hand, they're just completely burned out and they're destroying their relationships, or they're, just wearing themselves to the ground. And you've got to think, is that what you want? I know it's certainly not what I want. The second big idea is to develop a value framework. So from the book, I wrote, make meaningful change based on a personal philosophy and live by that. So a slow business isn't driven by trends, algorithms, or urgency culture. It's grounded in values. If you haven't done this exercise before, or perhaps you need a refresher, take the time to write down, what do you stand for? What are your non-negotiables? And create filters for decision making, whether it's who you collaborate with, how you price your services, or who you say no to. So be really clear on what is your personal philosophy in terms of how you do business and what you want your business to look like. And when you've got a really clear filter, it makes decision making so much easier. Okay, number 3, find your why. From Still, I wrote, have a clear sense of purpose to make the right choices. So in business, without a deeper purpose, it's easy to get burnt out or distracted. Really think about, why did you start your business in the first place? What impact do you want to have, and did you want to have? This can really anchor you when the noise gets loud and the path gets unclear. So there is an idea, it's like a Japanese management idea. It was originally a guy who worked with Toyota, and he developed what he called the 5 whys. This is a concept that I share in the styling masterclass, because I believe that before you start styling any space or improving any type of interior, you really need to get clear on, what is this project for you? Or what is this, this, whatever you're styling, what is it for you? What are you trying to achieve? What is your goal? Because that drives every single decision, from the props that you source, or the way that you photograph it, even the filters that you use. Every single element of it is driven by your true goal of what you're trying to achieve. And so what you can do is you can do the 5 why exercise. And so basically you ask yourself why 5 times. So you might say, why are you styling this space? And you might say, well, I want to, I want to make it look beautiful. Why? Well, I want to be able to show clients what's possible. Why? So I can share content on social media, and I've got, a compelling portfolio. I mean, I'm probably jumbling these up a little bit, but you get the idea. Why? So that I can connect with more potential clients out there. Why? So I can grow my business. But when you go through this filter system of asking why 5 times, you can get more clarity on, what are you actually trying to achieve to this? And it could be, actually, I'm doing this because I'm trying to attract more clients. Whereas the first time you might just say, I just want it to look beautiful. And great, that's wonderful. But when you get more clarity on, but what is that you're really trying to achieve? Maybe it's that you just want to push yourself creatively, and that's fine too. But why are you trying to do that? Maybe because you're not feeling as confident with your style right now, or maybe because you're feeling like you're in a styling rut. So there can be many reasons, but it can be really helpful to dig deeper through those layers of understanding with whatever you create. And this applies to your business as well. Number 4 is to focus on priorities. In Still, I write, set boundaries around what's most important in our lives and allocate our resources accordingly. In slow business, everything is not urgent. Be clear on your top priorities, not just this week, but this season too. And it's so important to, just on that word priorities, there is a great book called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And he talks about this idea of the word priorities is a very modern word in many ways, because something that was a priority was singular. It was not plural. And we have, in our culture and society, have come to define, that we have many priorities. Well, we can't have many priorities. We need to focus on one thing at a time. And this is certainly something that we need to apply in business. Now, when I say this, it's not that we drop everything else, because obviously that's just not possible. But if we stay focused on one goal at a time, that is actually how we get results. And the same is true with anything in our lives. I mean, if you look at, what we want to achieve in our personal lives, the same is true. If we are trying to reach a health goal, it's perhaps not possible to also, try and quit drinking maybe at the same time, although they are kind of interconnected. Maybe that's not the best example, but I know that the science shows that with any goal that we want to achieve, this is why we need to get really specific with it as well. And the more specific we are, then the more we can channel our energy towards that. So this is why we need to set boundaries. We need to protect deep work and really remember that because it's available, for something that we can do in our business, it doesn't mean it's essential. Now, let me give you a few examples of what this is looking like in my business right now. So I have done an audit of my business and I am simplifying it in a huge way. And we are stripping it right back because I feel that there is a lot of complexity in there that is not allowing us as a team and me as a creative to focus on the creative work. And I feel like over time I've become more and more detached from the creative work, and I really miss it. And I want to focus more on the elements of my business that bring joy. Now, yes, there are benefits to automations. Yes, there are benefits to creating SOPs, standard operating procedures, so that you can simplify things with your business and outsource certain tasks. That all of those things are still true. However, sometimes when there are so many layers and so many automations and so many tools and systems and software, is that we can end up spending all of our time or a large chunk of our time managing those things, implementing those things, rather than focusing on the work that is truly our best value contribution. So these are some of the subscriptions that I am actually removing from my business. So just the other day, I wanted to update the link in my bio and I realized, oh yes, we've been using Linktree. And so I had to go and find the password for Linktree. So we've got a document where we store our passwords for the team. And I went in there and then I sort of went in it. And so then I had to go and update the links. And I thought, this is just ridiculous. Look, Linktree is free, so it's not even about the money. It's the fact that it's another platform, another subscription. And I would actually rather people just go to my website. Then we're simplifying just the amount of stuff that we need to know, that we need to update. And it's actually better, I believe, to have people come to your website for your links rather than an external source, because that's a dead end. So yes, there might be more data in terms of Linktree. You can see how many people have clicked on those various things. But again, it comes to what type of business are you trying to run? And data is very powerful. Yes, I don't deny that for a second, but sometimes you can end up spending so much time in all the data that are you actually focusing on the most important parts of your business that you need to improve? So now we have removed Linktree and you can go to nataliewalton.com/links and that will take you to the key links on my website. We are also in the process, as I record, of deleting ManyChat. So yes, there are some good features with this. It allows you to automate links to your podcast or links to your, if you've got lead magnets or programs or other different resources that you have. However, we feel, and we've looked at the data and don't really feel like there is enough of a return on investment for getting that. And I feel that while there is some element of that being a great tool and a great automation, I do also feel like I am becoming less and less connected to those people who are wanting those resources. And I would rather have more of that personal connection and not seem like a machine. That's just my personal take on it. And really just asking that question of like, what value does this add to our business? And I really want to focus on quality, not quantity. We're also deleting ClickFunnels, which we started testing at the start of the year. And I do believe it's important to test and try new things. And this is basically a platform that allows you to A/B test elements such as which headlines perform better or which images perform better or what colors, if you just test one thing at a time. So you can test, are people more likely to click on this button if it's this color versus that color? And so you can start to optimize, the performance of your pages. The problem is that ClickFunnels, for whatever reason, when they updated their latest version of this program, they removed UTM parameters. And what this means is that you can't actually then follow that person's whole customer journey to see, oh, but did they ultimately end up converting to become a client? And there's like this complicated workaround for it, and it just ends up being far too much work. And yes, I can see that there are benefits to that, but again, it's just felt like it's become a whole thing that we've got to build out an entire page in this other platform, or two other pages. I mean, we split test them. And ultimately, it's not where we want to focus our time on energy in. So, we are really rebuilding our business based on a simple question. And that is, what is the simplest way that we can build a healthy, sustainable business so we can focus on delivering an excellent experience for our clients and students? And again, I really encourage you to think about, what is the return on investment of this tool or this system or this process, and really get clear on that for yourself. Number 5, take responsibility. In the book Still, I say, recognize the difference between a need and a want, and that we have a choice from what we consume to how we live. So if your business doesn't look and feel, and even if it's not growing in the way you want to, take responsibility for that. What are you not doing? And this is really about being honest with yourself. Are you not putting your best work out there? Are you making half attempts to show up on social media? Are you holding back from networking or building relationships with people in your community? Are you not having difficult conversations with clients, staff, or suppliers? Often we know what needs to be done. We just need to have the courage to move into action. Number 6, let go. In the book Still, I write, worry less about how other people are living their lives. Care less about attaching status to objects and measuring them as a sign of self-worth. Let go to move forward. So in your business, let go of comparing your business to others. It's very easy to get seduced by all the gurus and the so-called experts out there that have been in business for 3 years, or 2 years. And they're like, oh yes, I know all the answers to business. And they often, they know the answers to their business of coaching that doesn't necessarily apply to the business model of what you are doing. You really need to have that expertise of somebody who has and is going on the same path as you. So just a little red flag for you out there. Often they're trying to sell you a business model that works for them, but that doesn't mean to say that all of that applies to you. So just be careful. Trust me on this one. Okay, number 7, switch off. From Still, I write, disconnect to reconnect with ourselves and what matters most. Create community in real life. You don't need to be working around the clock to be successful. I take off at least 4 weeks every summer. I don't work on weekends. I don't look at my phone on weekends either. And I'm not on my phone or computer in the evenings. As a family, we eat dinner around 6:30. We all help and clean and pack away. I read a book to at least one child. We're currently circling back to Harry Potter 1 at the moment. And then I read myself. I'm currently reading Demon Copperhead. And then I have a shower and I'm asleep by 9:30. And then I wake at 5:30. I do yoga. I go for either a walk or run. I alternate those with my husband. We have family as a breakfast, tidy the kitchen, and I do all of that before I even pick up my phone. So really protect your energy. Create digital barriers and boundaries around being on your phone, being on your computer, letting those things bleed into your life. And well, certainly that is what works well for me. And if you're feeling drained, it's so important to take a break. If I'm feeling confused or frazzled, I'll go for a drive. I'll drive to one of my favorite beaches. I'll take a journal and I'll just write what I want, what I don't want, what I'm grateful for. I actually shared a list of that in a recent episode, and the one about joy, and it was amazing. I felt so much better. I just wrote a list and all the things that bring me joy, and I wrote quite quickly and easily 50 things, and immediately I felt so much better. And so I do anything that's just going to help regulate my nervous system in that way, and I always feel better once I've done some journaling. Okay, number 8, getting into the home stretch now. In the book Still, I write, become awake to the real beauty of our lives. Reclaim what's most important. We all started our business for a reason, and it's really important to stay connected with that why. I've touched on that already, but also to enjoy the journey too. And in this podcast, and certainly within Design and Grow, my coaching program, we've gone through this concept in detail, and I just want to go over it again, which is this concept of the gap and the game. And it's based on a book by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And basically the idea is that so often we can always be living in the gap, the goals that we haven't achieved. And we really actually need to spend time focusing on how far we've come, like what I did at the start of this episode. I shared what 18-year-old myself would think about where I am right now. And even if you look back on a year ago or 2 years ago, what you have achieved, what you have learned. And we really need to acknowledge the wins, because it's so easy to focus on, what is not going well, or what's not going right, or where we're not. We hoped that we would be somewhere else by now. And, it's good to have stretch goals, and it's actually really important. It's one of the key ways to create a goal is to have a stretch goal. But the point is not necessarily getting to that finish line. And I know this sounds cheesy, it's kind of been said a million times, but it's who we become along the way and what we achieve along the way as well, because we will get so much further by pushing ourselves than if we if we don't even try. I mean, I have started running again more recently, and it's not easy for me. Like I really have to sort of like push myself, and I've got to do so much mindset work to be able to run. And, even this morning I went for a run, and we've got lots of hills around where we run. So it's not easy running around here. And we ran down to the bridge, and then there's this hill that we ran up. And oh my goodness, like my plan was to run up the hill, run back down the hill, and then we do Tabata on the way back up the hill on the way home, because it's like this massive hill. And so we ran up the hill. Now I do think we ran up the hill faster than what we have previous times we've done it. But I got to the top, and I think because I did like this workout 2 days before, so maybe my legs were still a bit tired from that. But my goodness, it really was hard. But I'm so glad that I did it. So even though I ended up walking down the hill some of the way, I'm still really proud that I did it. I ran up the hill, and it's better than not having run at all. If I thought, oh, I can't do this is too hard. And I did push myself to get up that hill. So we need to always acknowledge, the gains that we've made. And we need to live in the now too. So slow business is really about being present, focusing on the one client, the one project, the one moment in front of you. And this really builds trust, it creates depth, and cultivates joy in the process, not just the outcome. Number 9, cultivate good feelings. From Still, I wrote, pay attention to when we feel good or energized. Cultivate and nurture these strands of our life. So I really encourage you to, when it comes to your business, notice when you feel energized, excited, and in flow. What work lights you up? What clients are a dream? And also, you can do this as an exercise, is really document, like, when do you feel good in your business? What are the parts of your business that you really enjoy? And also, who do you enjoy working with, and who don't you want to work with? What are green flags for you? What are red flags? The more you pay attention to these clues, the more you can shape your business around them. And finally, number 10, embrace slow, one step at a time. So in Still, this is very much in relation to consuming less. I write, consider sustainable, local, organic, whole choices, which is an acronym for SLOW, sustainable, local, organic, whole. Develop a rhythm that works for our lives and find pleasure in the process. So when it comes to slow business, certainly there are many ways that we can build a business that is sustainable, that is focused on local. Now that can be local within our area, but I would also offer that it could be local in terms of, being clear on like-minded people around the world. I think that we can extend that definition to that. Organic in terms of, what feels good, looks good, is natural. We're not trying to force something. and whole, that it is, taking all of these elements in together. Building a slow business isn't about burning it all down, what you've done so far. It's not about, going off grid or going rogue. It's about experimenting, evolving, and realigning step by step. So really choose sustainable systems, make decisions with intentions, and create a business that not only grows, but grows with you. So I want you to think about, how does this feel for you to build a slow business? Let's just quickly recap on the 10 simple steps to grow your slow business. Number 1, create a clear vision. Get clear on the kind of business you truly want, one that aligns with how you want to live and work. Number 2, develop a value framework. Let your core values guide your decisions from pricing to partnerships. Number 3, find your why. Reconnect with the deeper purpose behind your business to stay grounded when the noise gets loud. Number 4, focus on priorities. Simplify, protect your energy. Focus on what matters most this season, not everything all at once. Number 5, take responsibility. Be honest about what's not working and what needs to change. You have more agency than you think. You really do. Number 6, let go. Release the comparison, the noise, the systems that don't serve you anymore. Number 7, switch off. Protect your time. Create digital boundaries and allow space for rest and reflection. Number 8, live in the now. Stay present. Enjoy the journey. Celebrate how far you've come. Number 9, cultivate good feelings. Pay attention to what lights you up and shape your business around more of that. Number 10, embrace slow, one step at a time. This is not about burning it down. It's about small intentional changes that lead to sustainable growth. So I want you to think about, how would your business feel if you were more intentional, if you followed more joy, if you were more proactive than reactive? I really hope that you have found value in this episode. Please, it means so much to me when you send me a DM at Natalie Walton, or if you haven't yet left a review on the podcast. If you've been listening for a while and you've yet to leave a review, it's my birthday. I would really appreciate it if you could give me a birthday gift and leave me a review. It really does mean the world to me. And I produce this podcast at zero cost to you. There are no ads or anything like that. The best thing that you can do for me is to give it a 5-star rating or leave a quick review. I would appreciate that so much. I hope that you found today's episode valuable. So I encourage you to go out there, really look at your business and be intentional with what you create, and go make your mark, leave your imprint. All of the links and info for this episode are at nataliewalton.com/podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a direct download of the latest episode. And I really appreciate when you take a minute to rate and review, as well as share the love with someone you know who might benefit from this episode, or on social media. If you'd like to access a range of free resources, come visit my website, nataliewalton.com. Thank you to Jaeger Media for producing this podcast. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Bundjalung Nation where it was recorded, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm Natalie Walton, and you've been listening to Imprint.